My name is Ines, and today one of my dreams is finally coming true. I'm travelling to Burkina Faso in West Africa to learn about the people who live there and their way of life. Burkina Faso in the country's language means land of honourable people. When I get there, the Action Against Hunger team is waiting for me. Why don't you join me on this trip? We leave the capital Ouagadougou and head out to Diapaga, more than 400 kilometres east. During our drive, I watch the landscape go by, and I'm startled by the amount of poverty. We are in the Tapoa region and it's very hot. This is normal. It's at the end of the dry season, which lasts for more than half a year. Here, 80% of the population makes a living from farming. That's why during the first stage of the trip, we will visit a family of farmers, the Koulidiati family. This is Diasibo, the father, who welcomes us to his home.
Good morning. Welcome to my home. My name is Diasibo. I'm the father of the Koulidiati family. I live here with my wife and 3 children. We're a family of farmers and we have a hard time surviving. Our life is modest. We have a few things and cannot send our children to school. This year, we're having difficulty providing the family with enough food. We're very worried and don't know what is going to happen to us.
Diasibo's cereal production has decreased this year. This is one of the consequences of climate change and increasingly less fertile land. Diasibo insists on showing us his most prized possession, his granary. This is where he stores his food reserves for the whole year.
The last farming season was very bad and we don't have enough food for the end of the year. We've been going hungry for several months. Look at my granary, you'll see, it's empty. We have eaten all our reserves. Usually we keep our crops to plant again, but since we had little food this year, we couldn't keep any of it. Because we didn't keep anything, we don't have any seeds left. This is our plot of land. This is where we get all our food. Our harvests are poor, and this is due to the fact that the rainy season is increasingly irregular. What you can see here are the stone barriers. This is an Action Against Hunger initiative. During the rainy season, these barriers retain the water and protect the land from erosion. They stop the rain from taking the good soil from the surface. The soil is of a much higher quality and is much more fertile thanks to the goat manure we mixed in. Action Against Hunger organised an awareness-raising session to explain the benefits of these barriers. Last year, we installed barriers on our fields, and I've noticed a change. The crops are performing better. Unfortunately, this doesn't have any influence on the drought. Last year, drought destroyed part of my crops, and now I don't have anything to plant. What am I going to do?
Farmers in Burkina Faso grow crops on dry and flat land. After mixing the manure with the soil, they plant their seeds just before the rainy season begins. The rains, however, can be very heavy and flood the fields, so the water washes away the layer of manure and the seeds. The stone barrier technique is easy to implement. The lined-up stones allow for some of the surface soil to be retained, and some level of moisture is also maintained. With a few resources, grain production can increase by 30%. Diasibo's story is deeply moving. I understand the situation better. There's almost nothing else to do here but work the land to survive. There's no fixed salary or pension. You eat what you grow, and if you don't grow anything because of the drought, you have no food for your family. In spite of their struggles, the Koulidiatis invite me to eat in their home. For Wally, the mother, the most challenging task is finding food every day. This afternoon she went out to get leaves from the baobab tree. She will make a sauce from them to serve with a handful of boiled beans. Meanwhile, Benzeli, the eldest of the three daughters, washes the beans and crushes the leaves before cooking them. Although they will have a meal, it's clear that this is not a very balanced dish. The Koulidiati family eat the same thing almost every day. On bad days, the individual servings are smaller. It gets dark here early. The family invited me to spend the night with them and showed me to my room. It is very simple. 4 walls, 1 bed. I can't complain, but I think I will miss my mattress. I woke up to a rooster crowing this morning. I bathed with a washcloth and bucket and ate a breakfast of porridge made with millet. It was very different from my usual breakfast. The morning bath used up the last of the water reserves. Wally must collect water and I decide to go with her. We travel with buckets and water cans for the well. On the way we meet other families who we join for the rest of the journey. It's more pleasant when there are several of us. After walking for an hour and a half, we finally reach a well where the families gather. First, we have a drink because we've walked the whole way without water and our mouths are very dry. I quickly notice the murky colour of the water. The well is wide open, and because it's not protected, the water is filled with bacteria and many people get sick from drinking it. But these families have no choice. This well is, for now, the only available water source in the area. Today, however, it is an important and exciting day for everyone in the community. Action Against Hunger has come to finish installing a drinking water pump. With our water cans full, it's now time to walk back with the water on our heads. These cans are so heavy I can barely pick them up. I decide to head out to the health centre Wally spoke of. It's more than 4 hours on foot. I'm not quite sure what I will find there.
Good morning. Welcome to Diapaga Kren.
The Kren is a centre for nutritional recovery and education. It is a public health centre supported by Action Against Hunger. Consultations and treatment for children here are free. This little girl has just arrived. Her name is Marceline. Issa, the doctor at the centre, explains why she's so sick.
This little girl is 20 months old, and she seems to have been suffering from malnutrition for more than 3 months now. The main reason is because when she was 9 months old, her mother became pregnant again. In general, when a woman is pregnant here, she stops breastfeeding, and the grandmother looks after the child. This is her grandmother. If the mother can no longer provide breast milk, the child must eat food that has nutrients similar to breast milk. This hasn't happened here, because the child eats the same food her family eats. This consists of porridge and then to, which only contains corn flour. The little girl has had diarrhea for more than 3 months, making her ill. When someone is malnourished, complications come slowly, without us realizing. There are 3 serious forms of malnutrition. Marasmus, when the child is very thin and weak. Another is kwashiorkor, when the child has swelling, called an edema. The child seems to be well, but has the edema and other complications. And then you have the intermediate malnutrition, which combines the 2 previous conditions, kwashiorkor and marasmus. It's called marasmic kwashiorkor, and it's the most serious type of malnutrition. In general, children who reach us in this condition get better with the treatment we give them, because it does not take much for a malnourished child to get better. But neither does it take much for us to lose them. Treatment for malnutrition is not expensive. The costs include the plumpy nut and drugs used to treat the most complicated cases, like these. They're generic drugs, which really aren't that expensive. Thanks to a grant from Action Against Hunger, this treatment is free for parents in this province. This child is not a member of my family, but he is from Burkina Faso, just like me. He should be given a chance. That is why we work here, to treat a child, and after 2 weeks or a month, to see him smile again. It's very exciting, and I love my job.
Although most of the children treated in this centre will survive malnutrition, I have been deeply affected by my time at the health centre. I continue my visit to the market. The atmosphere is amazing. Sounds, bright colours, all this mixing, it's an incredible sight. The residents of isolated villages don't have access to the market because there's no transportation. To ensure they can still get access to a variety of foods, Action Against Hunger creates health gardens in these areas in collaboration with Tintua, a local development association in Burkina Faso. Once again, I'm on my way, this time to Pama to visit one of these famous gardens.
I work in the garden with other women from my village. It was created through the partnership between Action Against Hunger and the Tintua Association. Before, many of the village's children were weak and often got sick. We didn't know that this was due to the lack of nutrients in their diets. Action Against Hunger and Tintua explained that we needed a varied diet to stay healthy. They dug a well for us, and they gave us tools and seeds, while also providing advice on farming techniques. Now we have our own seeds from the plants that we have grown. The village's children feel better. They are all healthier.
During the trip, I realised that life for women and children here is very different from the one I know. I see them working all day in the fields, collecting wood, taking care of livestock, finding water and cooking meals. They never stop. Children and teenagers who work can't go to school. And without education, what will happen to them? A storm is brewing. For the inhabitants of Tapua, it's time for the rainy season. After a very difficult dry season, Burkina Faso will suffer 3 months of intense rain. Soon the roads will be destroyed and transporting goods will be very expensive. We have to leave soon while we can still travel on the roads. From the window I see rain flooding the fields where farmers have just planted their seeds. It's a near tragedy. In just one night the waters have taken the seeds with them. It seems nothing is easy here. It's time for me to head home. I go back to Ouagadougou to catch my flight. I'll always remember the people I've met here. I won't forget Jessibo the father, who hosted me with such generosity. I won't forget Issa, the self-sacrificing doctor from the health center, and even less the children and all those who have allowed me to learn so much about Burkina Faso. This trip has left its mark on me, a mark that will last a lifetime, and it's convinced me even more of the importance of making a daily commitment to these people. The race against hunger is the perfect way you can help families in Burkina Faso and around the world.